Today we're going to be going over a 2-on-1. We're going to talk about how to get to the position, how to secure it, and then some of my favorite attacks from it, including the arsonist and a Koichi pick. Enjoy. Hey, what's up everybody? Maxamillian Schneider here. Longtime judoka, 25 years experience, high school wrestler, D1 wrestler, working my jiu-jitsu black belt. In judo, I was on the 2016 Olympic team as a training partner. 2012, I was a youth Olympic champion in judo. Two-time Illinois state champion in wrestling, and now I'm just, learning from one of the best, Justin Flores. So there's a couple different ways we can get to a 2-on-1. I'm going to show two of the options. One is we just have someone in the stance, right? And we're going to utilize this grip, kind of like you're catching a football, to grab the wrist, right? So we're just going to go in and get it, right? So when you go in and grab it, you don't actually need to physically grab the arm. You can just collect it here and then use the open hands to pull it through. There's no need to actually grab onto the wrist. So we just, and then we pull it through. And as we pull it through, the top hand drops and comes high on the shoulder. When I come high on the shoulder, I'm throwing my elbow through, and then I'm going to cinch it back down. One of the really important things about 2-on-1 is getting shoulder dominance. We're declaring high ground with the shoulders. So by coming up and pulling him under, we're putting pressure on the back of his shoulder with ours. From here, we're going to keep a bend in the arm, and we're going to pull it in. I go double unders with my grips on the 2-on-1. I don't really like shotgunning it like this, right? I go double under and I pull this to the chest, and this should actually start applying a lot of strain to the shoulder. So I come here and I start leaning away with my shoulders, right? So those are kind of the core components of getting to a 2-on-1. Alternatively, if they club on our head, right? So when they club, we're going to hook on the inside, we're going to step to the outside, and we're going to turn our body, right? At the same time, I'm going to look away and suck it in. I'm going to utilize this hook grip to pull them across to do the same thing. Pull this up, transfer low, right? It's really important that when we do this club, we're not moving away from this. This makes it very easy for them to just pull their arm back and clear the position. When they club, I want to step in and come into the position, right? So I can get it nice and tight and make sure that there's no room for error. So when we get a 2-on-1, the foot position becomes extremely important. So when I get to this 2-on-1, the neutral position I like is toe-to-toe and this 90-degree angle, right? If we have this 90-degree angle, we can hit almost any technique we want, right? If we are more acute like this, it kind of limits my options, right? If I'm inside here, it limits my options, as well if I play outside on the back here. So the place I really like to hang out is just toe to toe. From here, there's a couple different techniques I like to hit, right? The main one being this Koichi pick. So if we're over here, I'm toe to toe. I bring my feet together, and then I lunge in here, right? So once I lunge in here, I'm really keeping this top shoulder dominance. I'm going to release the wrist, grab the bottom of the foot, and pull them through, and go for my leg drag. So this 2-on-1 Koichi pick, extremely effective, right? I really want to make sure I bring my feet together. I don't want to elongate myself here where he could limp arm out and just be on my back, right? I have to make sure I keep this top shoulder dominance, lunge in, take this, pull it back, and look for this leg drag position. Alternatively, if I'm here and we're toe to toe and I feel like this is going to be difficult for me to do, I go for a technique I call the arsonist. It's basically a front side fireman's. So I, again, bring my feet together, but rather than stepping in front, I step behind. As I step behind, I bring this shoulder up and load right here, right? Now there's a couple different ways we could finish. We could lift the leg and then just turn them down. Alternatively, we can come in, right? And then we can kind of S-sit. And as we S-sit, we come on top. I really like this technique because you fall in side control. One way I also like to practice is coming in, lifting up, getting this deep grip, pulling them on top of myself, and getting them completely sideways. This really shows that you have a really good control of the technique and we're not just going to injure someone. One thing I would wary against is coming in for this arsonist and sitting on their knee laterally. We're not sitting on their knee. We're coming in here and then we're sitting to our own butt. We're never sitting into our partner. We gotta keep our partner safe here, and flying in on their knee is not gonna take them down. You're just gonna tear their ACL. Okay, enjoy you guys. So today we're gonna be focusing on the position of overhook. So this is commonly seen as a less important position than the underhook, you know, less value for sure, but it's one of my favorite places to go. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about how to get there, what we do when we're there, and like some of the key things I'm looking for. Okay, so if I have my partner right over here, right, they get in like a little bit of a stance. So me personally, I always want my overhook on this right side. So I will post with my rear hand and reach with the side I want the overhook. And when I reach, I make a blade and I start trying to turn and sink my thumb behind their armpit like this, right? So in this, I would love to angle off and turn them and start exposing their back. If I turn here and they do not do anything, then I can come to like a short drag. But most people, when you do this to them, they will sink that underhook, right? So I'm really looking for them to sink that underhook. Yes, so I want this position, right? So from here, just talking a little bit before they establish this underhook, right? So when I'm here, I really think about exposing this bone, kind of like a rear naked choke, on the bicep and tricep, right? And I think about really squeezing it in. And from here, this really weakens their underhook. So if they don't have an underhook and they try and establish an underhook with this position, they can't even really get to the shoulder. So I let them get as far as I want, and then I will cinch it in, and it kind of kills their underhook. So from here, we've established a dominant position where we're actually winning the position. He has an underhook, but it's not very valuable because he can't use it for a lot of force. So I really like to hang out in this position. One of the reasons I also really like hanging out in this position because it's a built-in single leg defense, where if they try to single leg this near leg, you can just hold up their other arm, and it turns into like a high crotch, which is much easier to stop than a true single leg where they just drop here, right? So I like establishing this nice solid position. So the first move I'm going to teach is one of my favorites. I use it in many different positions, but I really value it in this position right here. So it's going to be a kochi pick. So a kochi pick, I lower my level, right? I get a nice like quasi wrestling stance, but still head up because I don't want to give up front headlocks. So this is actually a perfect angle. You see how this leg closest to me is back and the far one is there? If it's switched, right, it's unavailable. But as long as you have this angle right here, where we're both kind of squaring off against each other, it's readily available. So the first thing I want to say is we have to keep top pressure. So with this top pressure on the shoulder, I'm not going to go under my partner as I step in. You have to keep this dominance on top. So as I'm coming in, I'm going to step parallel with his foot and keep this top pressure. I lower my level and I reach for this right here, right? And you can see like they're already kind of falling as you step. So top pressure, stepping parallel, and reaching, right? So a couple other key components to this is when we come in and we do this takedown, we do not want to fall with our partner. If we fall with our partner, right, we're kind of ending up in this like giving up your back situation. And we want to avoid that at all costs, right? So when we step in, right, we step, we trade, we retract, and now I like taking this leg and having the option of either feeding it across here, right, or just dragging it through. But not following through with that, but actually just staying elevated and choosing your entry after is how I really gain dominant position from this coach you pick. Okay, one more time, a little more live speed. Coach you pick. Today we're going to be going over one of my favorite judo sweeps. So this is going to be a back trip. So we're going to work on some ways to get to the back trip off of an underhook and inside wrist roll. It's really one of my favorite takedowns. It's very versatile, can be used in many different situations, but I'm just going to show you how I get to it from the open. When I'm doing my back sweep, one of my favorite things to do is focus on hand fighting. If I can control someone's wrist, I feel very comfortable doing foot sweeps on them. So the first grip I'm going to go for in my back sweep is an outside wrist. So I'm going 4 fingers over the top and grabbing. As I grab, I pull the wrist to me and I throw my elbow inside. As I throw my elbow inside, I release the wrist and come in as I break to the corner. When I break to this corner, I want to be facing the same direction as my partner, right? So I can start almost running with them while grabbing the hip. So kind of in fluid motion, it comes 1, 2. From here, I'm really powerful. I pull him to me with the hip. At the same time, I push off my back leg and I sweep. So on this sweep, I'm coming here kind of like our traditional foot sweep, like a Diashi Barai or a Kuriashi Barai, where I'm crossing my center lane. So as I come here, I'm going to cross here. So I'm reaching and trying to make contact with the bottom of my foot as it crosses my support leg. In this sweep, you're going to make contact with the thigh first, but you're going to ignore it and continue reaching for the back leg. This plays a really good role if someone decides that they're going to lift their near leg in an attempt to avoid the foot sweep. So when they lift their near leg, you're actually aiming far back leg, so you're still going to catch. So it goes inside wrist rolls, same direction, sweep the leg out. One thing I would like to bring up is I have a static partner right now, and when we're doing this drill live, most of the time your partner won't stay static. They're going to try and clear to the front. So as I'm coming in here and going for this hip, they're going to clear around the front and start trying to face me, right? They want to return to this status quo. So a lot of the times when I perform this sweep live, I never actually am able to secure this grip here. When I'm going live, I reach for it, and then I go for the sweep as they clear. And since they are clearing quickly in front, I'm still able to catch the sweep. Additionally, to the addition, this can be used for the underhook for the same purpose, but the seatbelt grip is much stronger, so I tend to shoot there first and underhook if I can't. Fun move, give it a try.